The golden gates of Valdoria Palace stood tall against the morning sun. But behind those magnificent walls, something extraordinary was happening that would shake the very foundations of royal tradition. King Alexander and Queen Isabella had been keeping a secret for 10 years, one so shocking that when it finally came to light, it would change how the world viewed royal parenting forever. Princess Sophia wiped the sweat from her forehead as she finished scrubbing the palace kitchen floor. At 10 years old, she moved with the efficiency of someone who had done this task countless times before. Her younger brother, Prince Marcus, aged 8, was busy washing dishes alongside the palace staff, his sleeves rolled up and soapsuds covering his arms. 5-year-old Princess Elena sat at a small wooden table, carefully counting coins and learning to manage a household budget with the help of the royal treasurer. To any outsider who might glimpse this scene, it would appear utterly impossible. Royal children doing chores, learning to work alongside servants, managing money like commoners. Yet this was the daily reality in the house of King Alexander and Queen Isabella of Valdoria. The royal couple had made a decision when their first child was born that went against centuries of royal protocol. They believed that privilege without responsibility created weak, entitled individuals who could never truly understand or serve their people. So they devised a plan so radical, so completely against royal tradition, that they kept it hidden from the public eye for years. Every morning at 6 o'clock, before the palace truly awakened, the royal children would transform from princes and princesses into ordinary working children. They wore simple clothes, ate basic meals, and performed tasks that would make other royal families gasp in horror. Sophia learned to cook simple meals from scratch. Marcus practiced carpentry with the palace maintenance crew. Elena helped tend the palace gardens, getting her hands dirty in the soil. Queen Isabella watched her children work each morning with a mixture of pride and anxiety. She knew that what they were doing was revolutionary, but she also knew it was right. She had grown up as a commoner before marrying King Alexander, and she remembered the value of hard work, the satisfaction of earning something through effort, and the deep understanding of life that only comes from experiencing it at ground level. King Alexander had his own reasons for supporting this unconventional approach. He had spent his youth sheltered and pampered, never understanding the real struggles of his people. When he became king, he felt disconnected and unprepared for the weight of leadership. He was determined that his children would not face the same challenge. The palace staff had been sworn to secrecy about the children's daily routines. At first, many of them were uncomfortable with the arrangement. How could they allow royal blood to do such menial tasks? But over time, they began to see the wisdom in the king and queen's approach. The children were kind, respectful, and hardworking. They understood the value of every person's contribution to the palace's functioning. Mrs. Margaret, the head cook, had initially been scandalized when Princess Sophia first entered her kitchen, wanting to learn how to prepare meals. But now, she looked forward to their morning cooking lessons. The princess asked thoughtful questions about nutrition, food costs, and how to feed large numbers of people efficiently. These were skills no royal child had ever bothered to learn before. The children's education didn't stop with household tasks. In the afternoons, they attended regular royal lessons in history, languages, diplomacy, and statecraft. But their morning experiences gave depth and meaning to these formal studies. When they learned about economics, they already understood budgets from managing household expenses. When they studied history, they could relate to the common people whose stories filled the textbooks. The royal couple had established strict rules for their experiment. The children were never to feel ashamed of their work or to see it as punishment. Instead, they were taught that this was preparation for becoming better leaders. They learned that true nobility came not from birthright, but from character, empathy, and the willingness to serve others. Princess Sophia had grown into a remarkably mature 10-year-old. She understood that her royal title was a responsibility, not just a privilege. She had learned to appreciate the hard work that went into every meal, every clean room, and every beautiful garden. When she played with her toys, she treated them carefully because she understood their value. When she interacted with palace staff, she did so with genuine respect and gratitude. Prince Marcus had developed an unexpected talent for practical problem-solving through his morning work sessions. When a toy broke, he didn't simply ask for a new one. He tried to fix it himself. When he saw someone struggling with a task, he naturally offered to help. His tutors were amazed at his ability to think creatively and practically about complex problems. Little Princess Elena, despite her young age, was learning lessons that would serve her throughout her life. She understood that money didn't appear magically, that food required effort to prepare, and that keeping things clean and organized took work. She was developing a strong work ethic and an appreciation for the efforts of others. The children had never known any other way of life, so they didn't question their routine. To them, it seemed natural that they would contribute to the household's functioning. They took pride in their accomplishments and felt satisfied when they mastered new skills. They were developing confidence not based on their titles, but on their actual abilities and achievements. But keeping such a significant secret was becoming increasingly difficult. Palace visitors sometimes caught glimpses of the children in their working clothes. Staff members occasionally let slip comments about the children's unusual activities. Royal protocol experts were beginning to ask questions about why the children seemed so different from other royal offspring they had encountered. The pressure was building for King Alexander and Queen Isabella to either reveal their methods or find ways to hide them more effectively. They knew that the revelation of their parenting approach would create a massive scandal. Traditional royalists would be outraged. Other royal families might feel criticized or threatened. The media would have a field day analyzing and debating their choices. Yet despite these concerns, the royal couple felt confident in their approach. They could see the positive results in their children's character development, their empathy for others, and their practical life skills. They believed they were raising future leaders who would truly understand and serve their people, rather than simply ruling over them from a position of detached privilege. As the children grew older and more observant, they began to realize that their upbringing was different from what they read about in books or heard about from visiting dignitaries. They started asking questions about why other royal children didn't seem to know how to do the things they considered basic life skills. The secret that had been carefully maintained for a decade was beginning to unravel from within the family itself. The breaking point came on a rainy Tuesday morning when Lord Pemberton, the kingdom's most traditional royal advisor, arrived for an unscheduled visit. He walked through the palace corridors looking for the king when he stumbled upon a scene that left him speechless. Princess Sophia was teaching Prince Marcus how to mend a torn curtain while Princess Elena sorted laundry with one of the maids. Lord Pemberton's face turned red with shock and indignation. He immediately demanded an audience with King Alexander and Queen Isabella. The secret that had been carefully guarded for 10 years was about to explode into the open. When confronted by the furious advisor, King Alexander and Queen Isabella made a decision that would change their kingdom forever. Instead of making excuses or trying to cover up their methods, they chose to reveal the full truth about their revolutionary parenting approach. The king explained their philosophy with calm determination. He described how he wanted his children to understand the value of work, to appreciate the efforts of every person in their kingdom, and to develop genuine empathy for their future subjects. He spoke about his own sheltered upbringing and how it had left him unprepared for the realities of leadership. Queen Isabella shared her perspective as someone who had grown up as a commoner. She explained how her own childhood experiences of working hard, managing limited resources, and understanding the struggles of everyday life had given her insights that proved invaluable in her role as queen. She wanted her children to have those same advantages. Lord Pemberton was horrified. He argued that such treatment of royal children was undignified, dangerous to the monarchy's reputation, and completely inappropriate. He threatened to expose the scandal to the media and to other royal courts around the world. But the royal couple stood firm in their convictions. They had seen the positive results of their approach in their children's development, and they were prepared to defend their methods publicly if necessary. They gave Lord Pemberton a choice: support their approach or find new employment elsewhere. Meanwhile, the children themselves were beginning to understand the uniqueness of their situation. Princess Sophia had recently attended a diplomatic function where she met children from other royal families. She was amazed to discover that these children had never prepared their own meals, cleaned their own rooms, or even dressed themselves without assistance. They seemed helpless and disconnected from the basic realities of life. Prince Marcus had a similar revelation during a visit from foreign dignitaries. When their young son complained about the temperature of his drink and demanded that servants bring him a new one immediately, Marcus was shocked by the boy's rude and entitled behavior. He realized that his own upbringing had taught him to be grateful and respectful toward those who served others. The children began asking their parents direct questions about their unusual upbringing. Why were they different from other royal children? Why did they have to work when others were simply served? Were they being punished for something? King Alexander and Queen Isabella sat their children down for an honest conversation about their choices. They explained their belief that true leadership required understanding, empathy, and practical skills that could only be developed through real-world experience. They told them that they were being prepared not just to wear crowns, but to truly serve their people. The children's reactions surprised even their parents. Rather than feeling resentful or embarrassed about their working routines, they felt proud and special. They realized that they possessed skills and knowledge that made them unique among royal children. They understood concepts like budgeting, appreciated quality and craftsmanship, and felt comfortable talking to people from all walks of life. Princess Sophia declared that she wanted to continue her morning kitchen duties even if it wasn't required. She enjoyed the satisfaction of creating something useful and the friendly relationships she had built with the kitchen staff. She said the kitchen felt like a place where she could be herself, not just a title. Prince Marcus expressed similar feelings about his carpentry and maintenance work. He had discovered that he had genuine talent for fixing and building things, and he found the work satisfying in a way that formal royal duties never were. He liked solving practical problems and seeing immediate results from his efforts. Princess Elena, despite her young age, understood that her morning activities made her different from other children, and she liked being different in this way. She enjoyed the responsibility of managing money and helping with household tasks. She felt grown-up and capable in ways that purely recreational activities never made her feel. The royal couple realized they had reached a crossroads. They could continue hiding their methods, living in constant fear of discovery and scrutiny, or they could go public with their approach, accepting whatever consequences might follow. They decided to take the bold step of revealing their parenting philosophy to their people. They arranged for a series of interviews and documentary filming that would show their children's daily routines and explain their reasoning behind these unconventional methods. The announcement sent shockwaves through the royal world and beyond. Traditional monarchists were outraged, calling the approach everything from inappropriate to dangerous to the stability of the monarchy itself. They argued that royal children should be raised with dignity and proper protocol, not forced into manual labor like commoners. But the response from the general public was surprisingly different. Many parents found themselves fascinated and impressed by the royal couple's approach. They saw children who were polite, capable, and genuinely caring toward others. They witnessed young people who understood the value of work and appreciated the efforts of those around them. International media coverage was intense and divided. Some outlets criticized the king and queen for their radical departure from tradition. Others praised them for raising children who seemed more grounded and realistic than typical royal offspring. Educational experts and child development specialists began weighing in on the debate. Many supported the royal couple's methods, citing research about the importance of responsibility, real-world experience, and practical skills in healthy child development. They pointed out that the children appeared confident, capable, and well-adjusted. Other royal families around the world watched the situation with great interest and some anxiety. Some privately admitted they had concerns about their own children's preparation for leadership responsibilities. Others defended traditional royal upbringing methods and distanced themselves from the Valdorian approach. The children themselves became minor celebrities as people around the world followed their story. Videos of Princess Sophia cooking breakfast, Prince Marcus fixing a broken fence, and Princess Elena managing a small budget went viral on social media. Many viewers were charmed by the children's matter-of-fact attitudes toward their responsibilities and their obvious competence at practical tasks. But the attention also brought new pressures and challenges. The family had to navigate increased scrutiny of their private lives while maintaining the authentic approach that had made their methods successful in the first place. They had to balance public interest with their children's need for normal development and privacy. Palace life became more complicated as media representatives, child development experts, and curious officials from around the world requested visits and interviews. The king and queen had to carefully manage these requests while protecting their children from becoming overwhelmed by attention or feeling like they were on constant display. Despite these challenges, the royal family remained committed to their approach. They continued the children's morning work routines, though they added extra security measures to protect their privacy during these times. They also began developing programs that would allow other young people in their kingdom to participate in similar practical education experiences. 2 years after the revelation of their unconventional parenting methods, King Alexander and Queen Isabella stood on the palace balcony watching their children interact with visiting young people from around the world. The scene below told the story of their success better than any formal evaluation could. Princess Sophia, now 12, was leading a group of international students through the palace gardens. She explained not just the beauty of the flowers, but the practical aspects of gardening, the work required to maintain such spaces, and the coordination needed among many different staff members. The visiting children listened with fascination as she demonstrated proper soil care and plant maintenance techniques she had learned during her morning work sessions. Prince Marcus, at 10 years old, was showing a group of boys how to repair a broken garden bench. Instead of simply calling for servants to handle the problem, he had gathered tools and materials to fix it himself. His calm competence and willingness to take on practical challenges impressed the other children, who came from families where such tasks were always handled by staff. 8-year-old Princess Elena was engaged in a budgeting exercise with several other children, helping them understand how to plan a small event within specific financial constraints. Her early experience managing household expenses had given her an intuitive understanding of money and planning that amazed adults who observed her interactions. The transformation in public opinion about the royal family's approach had been remarkable. What began as scandal had evolved into widespread admiration and curiosity. Parents from around the world wrote letters requesting advice about implementing similar methods with their own children. Educational institutions invited the king and queen to speak about their philosophy and share their experiences. The children of Valdoria had become symbols of a new kind of royal leadership. They were seen as genuine, capable, and connected to real-world concerns in ways that previous generations of royal children had never been. Their ability to relate to people from all backgrounds, their practical skills, and their obvious sense of responsibility had earned them respect that went far beyond their royal titles. The success of their approach had inspired changes throughout their kingdom. Schools began incorporating more practical life skills into their curricula. Young people from all backgrounds were given opportunities to learn job skills, financial management, and civic responsibility through hands-on experiences. The kingdom developed a reputation for producing capable, well-rounded citizens who understood both privilege and responsibility. Other royal families had begun quietly implementing aspects of the Valdorian approach. While few were willing to go as far as King Alexander and Queen Isabella had, many began requiring their children to take on more responsibilities, learn practical skills, and spend time understanding the work that went into maintaining their comfortable lifestyles. The king of neighboring Astoria began requiring his son to work one day each week with different palace departments, learning about everything from food service to maintenance to security operations. The Queen of Northbridge started having her daughters manage small budgets for charitable projects, teaching them about resource allocation and the real costs of the programs they would someday oversee. International organizations focused on child development and education began studying the Valdorian model. Research teams documented the children's development, comparing them to peers from traditional royal families. The results consistently showed advantages in areas like problem-solving ability, empathy, practical skills, and leadership potential. Princess Sophia had become particularly notable for her ability to connect with people from all walks of life. During official visits, she asked thoughtful questions about people's work, showed genuine interest in their challenges, and offered practical suggestions based on her own experiences. Diplomats noted that she seemed to understand economic and social issues in ways that were unusual for someone her age and background. Prince Marcus had developed into an innovative problem solver who approached challenges with creativity and persistence. When the palace faced a water shortage problem, he worked with engineers to understand the issue and proposed solutions based on conservation techniques he had learned during his practical work experiences. His suggestions proved both feasible and effective. Princess Elena, despite her young age, had become known for her thoughtful approach to resource management and planning. When organizing charity events, she considered not just the desired outcomes but also the practical constraints and the most efficient ways to achieve goals. Her early financial education had given her skills that impressed adult organizers and donors. The children's education had evolved to blend their practical experiences with advanced academic learning in ways that reinforced both elements. Their morning work sessions provided context for afternoon lessons in economics, politics, and social studies. Their interactions with palace staff informed their studies of history, culture, and human relations. Palace staff members had become informal mentors and teachers for the children, sharing not just job skills but also life, wisdom, and different perspectives on society and leadership. This network of relationships had given the children a much broader understanding of their kingdom and its people than traditional royal education typically provided. The approach had also strengthened the children's relationships with each other. Working together on practical tasks had taught them cooperation, mutual support, and shared responsibility in ways that competitive or individual activities never could have. They had learned to appreciate each other's different talents and to work as a team toward common goals. King Alexander reflected on how his own leadership had been influenced by watching his children's development. Seeing them interact confidently with people from all backgrounds had reminded him of the importance of staying connected to his citizens' daily experiences. Their practical problem-solving approaches had inspired him to look for similar solutions to kingdom-wide challenges. Queen Isabella had documented their family's journey in a series of books that became international bestsellers. Parents around the world found practical advice and inspiration in her accounts of balancing royal responsibilities with real-world education. Her writings emphasized that the goal was not to eliminate privilege, but to ensure that privilege was accompanied by genuine understanding and capability. The children themselves had grown into confident, capable young people who understood their future roles as leaders in entirely new ways. They saw leadership not as something that would be automatically granted to them because of their birth, but as something they needed to earn through competence, empathy, and service to others. As the international visitors prepared to leave Valdoria, many of them expressed amazement at what they had witnessed. The royal children were unlike any they had ever met: capable, confident, kind, and remarkably mature. They possessed practical skills, social awareness, and leadership qualities that seemed to come naturally from their unique upbringing. The experiment that King Alexander and Queen Isabella had begun in secret 12 years earlier had proven successful beyond their wildest expectations. They had raised children who were prepared not just to inherit titles and wealth, but to use their positions to make meaningful contributions to their kingdom and the wider world. The legacy of their approach extended far beyond their own family. They had demonstrated that privilege and responsibility could be taught together, that practical skills and royal dignity were not mutually exclusive, and that true nobility came from character and capability rather than birthright alone. The shocking revelation that had once threatened to destroy their reputation had instead established them as innovative leaders in child development and royal education. Their children had become examples of what was possible when traditional assumptions were challenged and new approaches were tried with courage and conviction. The Kingdom of Valdoria had been transformed from a traditional monarchy into a model for how royal families could prepare their children to lead in the modern world. The children who had once scrubbed floors in secret were now inspiring young people around the globe to combine privilege with purpose, comfort with capability, and tradition with innovation.